Now, a lot of students ask me this question, which camera to buy? Now, cameras are of two types. If you are buying a DSLR are of two types. One is called DX or the crop sensor, and the second is called the full frame or the professional series, the FX bodies. Now, if you are just starting out, like you have just interest in photography and you want to do it as a hobby, then I encourage you to go ahead and buy a DX camera, because DX cameras are inexpensive cameras and those are great for you to learn the skill. Once you have achieved a certain level, in terms of your photographs, they are coming out beautiful, and you want to upgrade your quality, you want to get the power of a full frame machine, then you can invest on a full frame camera, which is like in Nikon case it is called the FX bodies. It's there on the top of the body, FX. So usually professional people who make money with photography, who do all the professional assignments like wedding photography, events photography, or even e-commerce, product photography, they preferably use full frames, because full frame gives you the better quality in terms of the details, and also it can shoot in low light. The ISO performance on these cameras are awesome. So even if there is less light, you can get the results. So that's the two things. And if you go technically, like what is it in the technical details of the camera, the full frame cameras, the professional series cameras, they use a 35mm sensor. Now 35mm sensor is the same size that we had in the film time. The one frame of the film, that was 35mm. On a DX body or a crop sensor body, what we do is we just clip the sensor, and from 35 we reduce it to 24mm. So you can imagine that if 35mm is this side, 24mm is smaller, it is this size. So when the size of the sensor is small, the cost of the camera goes down, so you can afford the camera at a lower price. So rest, all the companies you would see, they tell you that this is a camera which is a crop sensor or a DX body, or it is a full frame camera, and now you can take a call. So whenever you go, like maybe you check online or you go to a store to buy a camera, then you got to decide whether you want to invest on a DX body or a full frame body. Now I am going to show you how the full frame sensor looks like. I have just opened the lens of my D750 Nikon camera, and I have just lowered the shutter speed, and I'm just pressing the shutter button so that you can see the sensor. Here we go. Do you see that? Right there is a sensor. This is called the 35mm sensor, and this is where the light gets recorded. This is where the photograph is taken. Hope you can see the size. And on a DX body, instead of having a bigger sensor like this, 35mm, we have a smaller sensor which is around 24mm. So if you see your camera, if you open the lens, you will get the same result. Nikon, it is very simple. Nikon, what happens is they have cameras designed in terms of series, like say DX bodies, they start with 3000 series. Now 3000 are just the entry level camera. If you're just getting into photography, those are the cameras you can go with. If you want a little better performance, then there is a 5000 series. Even better, or a semi-professional performance, then there is a 7000 series, like D7000, D7100, D7200, or the latest, the D7500. And then they have the full frame series. Now full frame series can be D750, D810, like that. Now I'm sure you have got a fair understanding how to decide which camera to invest in. Now it is a no-brainer. Like in any industry, if you spend more money, you are going to get a better product. If you spend say 20,000 rupees on a camera, you will get a quality that is worth 20,000 rupees. And if you spend 2 lakh rupees on a camera, you are going to get value which is of 2 lakh rupees. So more you spend, it is almost like when you are buying a car. If you are buying a car at a lower price, then it will have certain features. But if you are buying a luxury car or a car which has got a lot of comfort, a lot of features, a lot of security, then you got to spend more money on that. Same way, photography is no different. As far as camera bodies are concerned, as far as lenses are concerned, most of the times, in fact 100% of the times, the more the money that you spend, better the quality you get. So that's how it is. One more thing that gets impacted when you are using different sensor sizes, like if you are using a full frame camera, so the focal length of the lens will be same. Like if I am using say a 50 mm lens on a full frame body, it will be exact 50 mm. But if I put the 50 mm lens on a DX body, then the focal length gets multiplied into 1.5. So a 50 mm lens will behave like a 75 mm lens, right? And this is also called as the crop factor. So essentially, a lot of photographers, they make good use of this technology. What they do is, if they have, say for example, let's take an example of a wildlife photographer. Now, wildlife photographer, he or she is using say a 400 mm lens. 400 mm lens mounted on a DX body will become 600 mm. So if their subjects are quite far, they can use the same lens and they can get the photograph, right? And if I am using the 400 mm on my FX body, then my FX body, particularly the D750, offers me that I can change my camera crop sensor from FX to DX. So I can get the same result. If I have a 400 mm, I can make it a DX sensor and I can make it to 600 mm. So this is something we have to understand, that in a full frame camera, the focal length of the lens is exact, it's the same. But on a DX body, it gets multiplied by 1.5, so it increases. So to make things simple, if you are using a 100 mm lens and you put that on a DX body, how much will it go to? You said yes, 150 mm it will become. 100 into 1.5 becomes 150 mm. So that's the understanding about FX and DX for you guys. Thank you.